Chapter 5, The Rise of Dumb Ideas. By now, the apartment was a full-blown war zone. Cushions, plants, and debris were strewn across the floor like a crime scene. The dogs were disheveled, exhausted, and borderline feral after their brush with self-imposed catastrophe. Chip lay face down on the floor, refusing to move. TM done. I quit. Somebody just toss me into the sun already. RL go whiling. Eat. Bella, who had somehow managed to salvage her dignity despite looking like a walking lint roller, sat in the corner furiously tapping on her phone. One swear to God, if I lose more than 5 followers because of that wind tunnel shitshow, I'm gonna start throwing hands. Lola, still sobbing over the carcasses of her beloved plants, was softly chanting to herself like she was at some sort of New Age funeral. Rest in peace, my sweet angels. You were too pure for this world. And Dexter? Dexter was pacing the apartment like a crazed dictator, deep in thought, trying to come up with yet another plan to combat their biggest enemy. This isn't over, Dexter muttered to himself, oblivious to the carnage around him. The sun thinks it's won, but we're just getting started. Chip raised his head, looking at Dexter like he'd just lost his last brain cell. Dude, I don't know what drugs you're on, but they must be fucking wild because the sun doesn't even know we exist. Dexter ignored him. We just need to escalate. We need to outsmart it, outplay it. We've been thinking too small. Bella scoffed, still staring at her phone. Yeah, that's the problem. We've been too smart about this whole thing. Let's make sure our next plan involves burning the apartment down, just for fursies. Lola sniffled and looked up from her plant memorial. Please, no more plans. I can't take it. I can't lose any more of my children. Dexter slammed his paw onto the coffee table, causing everyone to jump. No. We're not giving up. We've got to hit the sun where it hurts. Chip blinked. How? By launching a rocket made of Doritos at it? Because that's about as realistic as everything else you've said so far. But Dexter was already lost in his delusions of grandeur. We've been doing some research. I found this forum online, some real experts in fighting back against the sun. These guys know their stuff. Bella rolled her eyes so hard it was a miracle they didn't fall out of her skull. Oh my God, Dexter, if you're about to tell us you found some weirdo conspiracy subreddit, I'm out. I am out. Dexter, eyes wild, waved his phone in the air like it was the Holy Grail. I'm serious. These people have a whole system. We need to combine forces with them. It's time for Operation Sunscreen Apocalypse. Chip sat up slowly, his face a mixture of confusion and disgust. I'm sorry, did you just say Sunscreen Apocalypse? Because I can't tell if that's the name of a video game or the dumbest idea you've ever had. Dexter grinned. Neither. It's the most brilliant idea ever. We're going to weaponize sunscreen. Bella stopped mid-swipe on her phone and stared at him. Take it back. I didn't think you could get dumber, but here we are. But Dexter was on a roll, pacing back and forth like a mad genius. No, listen. Sunscreen is the key to blocking the sun's power, right? So, if we get enough of it, we can create a barrier like a force field that the sun can't penetrate. Chip stared at him, his mouth hanging open. I'm sorry, what? Dexter's chin widened. A sunscreen force field. We just cover every inch of the apartment with it. The sun will be powerless. Lola, still in shock from the last disaster, whimpered. How is that even supposed to work? Dexter beamed with pride. Science, my friends. Sunscreen is scientifically designed to block UV rays. All we have to do is up the dosage, slather the entire apartment in, and boom, the sun can't touch us. Chip buried his face in his paws. I can't believe I'm hearing this. We're talking about a plan that involves turning our apartment into a greasy death trap. Bella wrinkled her nose. That's so gross. The aesthetic alone makes me want to vomit. There's no way I'm living in a place that smells like SPF 50 and failure. But Dexter was too far gone to listen. I've already ordered 300 gallons of sunscreen online. It's being delivered tomorrow. Chip shot up, his eyes wide with horror. What? You bought how much sunscreen? 300 gallons. It's perfect. We'll cover the walls, the windows, everything. The sun won't know what hit it. Lola let out a soft whimper. I'm going to die. I'm actually going to die in a puddle of sunscreen. Bella groaned, slamming her phone onto the floor. Dexter, I swear to God, if my fur gets oily and gross because of this, I'm going to shave you in your sleep. Dexter didn't flinch. It's a sacrifice we all have to make. For the greater good. The following day. The next day arrived faster than anyone expected. And, true to Dexter's word, 300 gallons of sunscreen were delivered to the front door in industrial-sized tubs. The dog stared at the mountain of sunscreen with a mixture of awe and absolute dread. I think I am having a stroke, Chip said flattily. This is too stupid. Even for us. Dexter, of course, was already hard at work, slathering sunscreen on every surface of the apartment like a crazed painter. The walls, the windows, even the furniture, nothing was safe from the thick, greasy goo. Lola stood in the comber, clutching what was left of her plants. This is a nightmare. This is hell. I'm in hell. Bella, now trying to keep her fur as far away from the chaos as possible, stood on a chair like she was avoiding a flood. I hope you know that when this inevitably backfires, I'm going to make sure you never have a single moment of peace for the rest of your life. Dexter, wiping sunscreen onto the windows, grinned. Trust me. When the sun comes for us, we'll be ready. Chip watched in horror as the apartment transformed into a slippery, sunscreen-coated disaster zone. This is the dumbest thing we've ever done. As Dexter continued his sunscreen campaign, the sun began to rise higher in the sky. Its rays, unrelenting, shone through the remaining cracks in the curtains. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, a loud knock came from the door. Chip groaned. Oh God, not again. Dexter, still covered in sunscreen, walked over to the door and opened it. Standing there, looking thoroughly unimpressed, was the landlord. His eyes swept over the apartment, taking in the chaos, the greasy walls, the mountain of sunscreen tubs. The landlord let out a long sigh. I don't even want to know what's happening in here. Bella, her fur standing on end, pointed at Dexter. Blame him. He's a lunatic. Dexter grinned sheepishly, his paws still coated in sunscreen. Eyes for science. The landlord raised an eyebrow. I don't care what it's for. You're paying for every inch of damage you do to this place. And if I see one more gallon of sunscreen, I'm evicting all of you. Chip collapsed back onto the couch, defeated. This is it. This is how become homeless.